Welcome to Pulse. Positive actions, uplifting lives, sparking excellence. This is more than a podcast. It's a movement. A space where purpose meets practice, where leadership meets life. Here, we believe in three things: listen, learn, lead. Because before you can lead anybody, you have to listen. Before you can change anything, you have to learn. And when you've done both, now you're ready to lead. I'm your host, PaulDTaylorSr. And here, we don't just talk about success, we talk about how to build it. We don't just highlight problems, we develop solutions. Every episode, we bring you voices that matter, stories that inspire, strategies that work, and principles that transform lives. Because at the end of the day, it's not about where you started, it's about how you move forward. So lean in, listen, learn, lead. Get ready to take your pulse. Let's grow. Welcome to Pulse. Positive actions, uplifting lives, sparking excellence. I'm your host, Paul D. Taylor, and today we have our very first guest for our very first show. A very special guest, Dr. Faye Caminita. She is an educational leader over 30 years in the business. She is the principal of PaulDTaylorSr High School. She is also my boss. So I'm elated to have her here on the show for our kickoff episode. Welcome, Dr. Caminita.
Thank you so much. I'm happy to be here. Thanks for the invite.
Well, today we want to start off with what we call checking your pulse. All right, so we have three quick questions to just kind of like warm us up. So the first question is a question about purpose. So what wakes you up in the morning and say, I'm going to get up and go and lead these people today?
I'll tell you, every morning that I wake up, I'm excited to come to school. I'm excited to see the children and help grow the children, work with the teachers to grow their skills so that we can ensure that students have options once they graduate and they move into that real world. That truly is my purpose every single solitary day. Now, there are other things that come into play, such as parents, community members, school board employees that come and they have their to-do lists and things that they're checking at the school. So, I'm meeting with them, but my main priority is to get up, to see the children and to see and be a part of their success every day.
So that's a great reason to get up. Just to, hearing you talk about growth and that's something that you really hit home all the time. It's talking about growing students. And I think really if we could talk about that a little bit, about what does it mean to grow students?
Well, when you're growing students in a school, it's not necessarily getting everybody to advance. You're taking kids from where they are, where they start, and you're advancing their knowledge, moving up that ladder of unsat to approaching basic, mastery and advance, the goal, which of course is mastery and advance. But we do have to understand that some students that come to us, even just a little bit of growth is a lot of growth, and it needs to be celebrated across the board because we're all individuals, we're all different. So growing kids and growing teachers means something different to each and every person.
Cool. All right, so the second question is about pressure. All right, so when things get hard, what keeps you grounded?
I'll tell you, pressure goes hand in hand with support. So when there's pressure to perform well, to make sure students are doing what they need to do and teachers are giving their 150%, the support that you give your stakeholders is what makes that difference. Like if you're asking to grow students from unsatisfactory to approaching basic, then you have to self-reflect what support are you giving teachers to understand that expectation? What type of modeling are you doing for the kids to see you in that role and for the teachers to see you in that role to ultimately be part of the outcome of growth? So, pressure and support goes hand in hand, and pressure is what we're going to see every day, and support is what has to be there unconditionally.
So I'm reading an article last night about increasing comprehension in students. And one of the things that they talk about is teaching students to seek out those keywords. And I heard you say a keyword just now, and I would be remiss if I didn't ask you about that keyword. You just said modeling, because we're talking about positive actions, uplifting lives, and sparking excellence. So, what is a model of excellence in that you can say as a leader? How do we model positive actions for our students and for the community?
Yep. Modeling happens as a leader in a school building every day. Every day you're modeling, you know, what you want the kids to look like, the attitude that you'd like them to have, the responsibility that comes with, an education every day. You're modeling that for not only the kids but the teachers as well. Like if you're asking kids like not to wear hoodies, then I shouldn't see any leaders in a hoodie or teachers in a hoodie because we're all in this together. It's teamwork. Modeling also looks a little bit different in professional development, as you know. For teachers and leaders, we're looking at data, and you're modeling for your team what that data looks and sounds like, how to read it, how to interpret it, how to make a game plan with it, how to put it into action and to grow it. Just looking at it isn't going to grow the students and grow the teachers. So you have to have an interpretation of that data that makes a big difference as to how you move forward.
All right, our third and final warm-up question. We're just warming up. So this last question is about impact. So what legacy do you hope your life leaves behind?
I'll tell you, with 33 years in education, I want people to be able to feel like once I'm gone, that I've given it my all and that I've helped them get to where they strive to be. Either, that could be students in terms of moving from one grade level to the next. It could be high school students graduating high school. It could be brand new teachers moving into teacher leader support roles, or it could be teachers moving into leadership roles, or leaders moving into district central office personnel, and just knowing that I'm coaching people to be the best that they can be is the ultimate payoff. So impact, absolutely, every day is what helps me move from one point to the next.
That's powerful. That's powerful. All right. So now, this year in July, we were at a banquet and we found out that you were named the Louisiana High School Principal of the Year.
Yeah.
And because of that, when we had our kickoff rally for Tangipahoa Parish, you were given the opportunity to give a speech. And, I had gotten to know you. We had been together for a year. But in that speech, you said a lot that I did not know. And so I would like you to just like take us through your educational journey, because you are Dr. Anna Faye Caminita, principal of 5A high school of 2,000 kids. But, when I heard your testimony of your educational background growing up as a child in the school, I was fascinated that, wow, from where she started, look at where she is. So can you take us on a journey with your educational experience?
Yeah, I'll be happy to do so. I reflect very often on my educational endeavor, from all the way from elementary school all the way up through college and then today. I'll tell you that I have a twin brother and an older sister, and we went to St. Joe's and Gretna, and it was a great family school. I have some lifelong friends there. But when I was very young in second grade, I ended up with dyslexia. Um, and then at that point, I couldn't read. And I'll tell you that my mother stayed home and helped me read every single solitary day after school. My mother was also a teacher at the school, so she was vested. And when I tell you it was just hard, it was back and forth. I could read a little bit, but not a whole bunch. And so I struggled through school. And, I remember my my elementary principal telling my mother that I'll never graduate from high school. She'll never graduate from high school, which was a huge, punch in the gut for my mother. And my mother didn't believe that. She had the unwavering belief that I was going to be successful. And so I wanted to go to college, and I told my parents that. And my father, I remember he said, "You?" And I was like, "Yep, I want to go to college." And so I did, and it was a struggle until I actually learned how to learn, if that makes sense. Yeah. And once I learned how to learn and how to understand how to comprehend and retain, then I had it. I knew how I could move forward. So I did, in fact, go to college and became an elementary teacher, and then went and got my master's degree and my master's plus 30. And I sit here today with a doctorate in educational administration. And I'm excited about that because I know that if I could do it and be successful, then any of the students that are working hard day to day and any of the teachers that are working with our students to be successful, they can do it too because I did it. I'm here. And I know my mother has passed on, and she is probably celebrating in heaven the success because it was for her. She did not give up on me. So that's my main charge every single solitary day. Kids need to know that they can do it, and teachers need to truly believe that they're making a difference because they are. And so that was my educational story per se. Everybody has their own educational story and a reflection. But I can tell you, I wouldn't be the person sitting here today if my mother wasn't that person believing in me.
That's fascinating. What would you say to a student who may not have a mother to champion for them, who may have struggles in learning? How do they seek out someone who can help them along the way,
Yeah.
as your mother did for you?
I'll tell you that, schools are filled with great people who have big, big hearts and want to see students succeed. There are teachers at school right now tutoring students, getting ready to take and pass that LEAP test so that they can walk and graduate across that stage. I would make sure that students know that teachers at the school really don't just leave at 2:40 and forget about them, that they're here. Ask for help, ask for assistance, reach out to your counselors and your admin team. We all together, a community, helps to grow the students. My mother was there individually for me, and she made that her mission. But really, in schools, we're filled with great people that want to see students succeed genuinely and will do anything that they need to help students get from point A to point B.
Wow. So it sounds like you really are hitting on our next question, which is talking about culture. So Ponchatoula High School is known for its culture, deep deep traditions at the school, and it's been in existence for a very long time, and the community is real tight knit. Like it's its own town. The high school is its own town. So, how do you build and protect that culture? How do you build and protect the culture in a school?
I'll tell you, as a leader, it's very important to go into a school and listen. Listen to what the stakeholders are sharing with you in terms of those grounded traditions, in terms of the alumni that's been there at the school for years, or individuals that have children and their grandchildren also attend the school and live in the town. It's super important to hear and to want to learn and be part of that. Tradition's not something that everyone has all over, but Ponchatoula High School in the town of Ponchatoula is very, very rich in tradition, from the Christmas tree lighting in town, which was incredible, to the trick-or-treat nights, to the music in the park, to eating at the restaurants, just to being in town in general. I mean, during football season, you can walk up and down in town, and you can see the great windows that have beautiful displays of football players and cheerleaders cheering on the school and the progress that the school has made. The community is always there. Friday night lights. And the students in the school are pretty much in the community, full force as well. The Kiwanis Club, our Beta Club is also in the community, our student council, so it truly is a hand-in-hand endeavor. The children give back through service hours, and the community steps up to ensure that our kids are successful, and it's just extremely unique.
I like the when you mentioned downtown Ponchatoula. My first year there, I you know I got to go with Pastor Jackson. We would go to different places on Fridays before the game. And but when it came around Christmas time, I felt like when I was driving in the morning, it would be real dark, and the streets would be lit up like a Hallmark movie.
Yes.
And the Christmas tree lighting and everything is really, very homey, and the like I said, it's a real close knit community. So I'm very proud to be a part of the Green Wave staff. So that being said, what are you most proud of about your staff?
I'll tell you that my admin team and my staff they're incredible. The admin team, as you know, you're on the admin team, have been there at Ponchatoula for a very long period of time. They can share traditions with you. They've accepted me into the Ponchatoula, community, and we work together wholeheartedly. Micromanaging really doesn't have to occur. Every admin owns their responsibility in our very large school in order for it to be successful. In terms of the staff, I'm thrilled that we have an instructional leadership team, which is a group of teachers, about 20 teachers, who own responsibility for teacher learning and student learning and growth. We meet once a week. We're looking at data and we're analyzing and we're making next steps and we're learning together as a team as to how to reteach, like right now, how to reteach students so that they can master all the content to do the best that they can on end of year assessments. And so the admin team is just building capacity, and that feels great. The teachers are in it with us at the admin level because we wouldn't be able to do it without them. The school is very, very large, and it takes all hands on deck in order for us to be successful, and that's what we have, all hands on deck.
Okay. So being named Louisiana High School Principal of the Year, yeah, we're gonna talk about it. That's a very, prestigious, esteemed honor to get that recognition. What does getting that recognition mean to you?
I am extremely honored to serve in that capacity, not only for Tangipahoa Parish, but the state of Louisiana. I'll tell you, the application process was rigorous, and I had to stop and reflect on everything that we do at the school as a team to have great things happen. Like, for example, PJ's Coffee. So we know that Miss Gill, who was in charge of our special needs population, has really led that back in the day. And it has come to fruition due to her due diligence. We do have community-based instruction for our special needs students. That comes to fruition due to our special education department and their leader who's taking them along that path. So it is not just what I do at the school, it's collectively what all of our stakeholders do, which ends in that result. And I'm just excited to be a part of that. When the award was given, it's really given for all of us together and what we are allowing to happen in the lives of children. And it's incredible. It's an incredible honor.
Yeah, I remember sitting at the table, and when your face was thrust up on the board, and it was like I felt like, wow, I'm a part of something like the the state high school principal of the year. Like, this is huge. And I really felt in that moment, I allowed myself to feel in that moment like much pride to just being a part of that team. Because we do have a phenomenal team at Ponchatoula High School. Like you said, everybody owns their section of their responsibility, and also not only do we operate in our own areas, but we help each other when the lift is heavy. Hey, I need a
Absolutely.
female searched, or I need a male search. I need to, so we help each other out a lot. And I think that is one of the things that really helps us to have that type of team and to share that moment with that group of people was just a great honor as well. So let's talk about leadership. So we talked about growing students and leading students, um, but you also lead adults. So how do you lead and grow your teachers?
I'll tell you, leadership is big. It's a big topic, and you have to narrow down exactly what type of leader you want to be, and you have to believe it, and you have to live it, and you have to know it. And I am a servant leader. I will get into a classroom and teach students, and I'll learn data right next to the teachers that are on my team, and we'll discuss it. The fact of the matter is, I don't walk into meetings and know everything because I have experts on my staff. I have experts in English, and I have experts in geometry, and I have experts in biology. And it would be foolish of me not to use those experts in the area where they can serve best for our school. So I do have an opportunity to stand to the side and let other teachers lead those conversations and take part in the next action steps. It doesn't always have to be me, the principal. And I do have teachers that want to be, the next principal or in administration, and giving those individuals responsibility that helps build their craft. That's my responsibility. And so when you talk about leadership, you're talking about not only leading the school, but leading, my fellow teachers and leading the students in the building to be the best that they can be. That's part of leadership as well.
So part of leading those adults is having those tough conversations. How do you handle the tough conversations? Like that is like, ugh.
Yeah. The tough conversations are necessary. And I'll tell you, being truthful and being honest can go a very long way. Giving teachers feedback on their lessons, teachers always have an area to improve. Leaders always have an area to improve. But really being genuine with that feedback in terms of what were the students struggling to do, not necessarily what was the teacher missing, but what were the students struggling to do, sometimes informs what the teacher should do differently or tighten up on maybe what the teacher is attempting to implement. It's true, honest feedback to the delivery of effective instruction that teachers really want. And so I would call out to all principals, that's where the feedback should be. Yes, is it going to be written on a rubric? Absolutely. But it should come primarily from where and what students are struggling to do. What are they struggling with? And then the action step should come from that question.
And being learning about how you had learning problems growing up as a student in school. I think it's nice to know that you have a leader who can empathize with the student who may have those additional struggles, more additional challenges, learning on challenges, and to that's developing faculty staff toward that empathy and in the way that you instruct your students. Put yourself in their shoes. If you're a student who struggles to learn, how do you bring them to another? Do you just count them out because they're not going to raise your score, or are you going to do what you can to grow that student even though they have so many different challenges that comes with learning? So I think that's a key element as well. So, the next thing I want to talk about is students first. So how do you make sure every student feels seen and valued?
I'll tell you, relationship building at the high school level, that's tough because, everyone is pressed for time. Time is not on our side. And so we have to make sure that we're reaching the kids. We have to build a relationship with the students so that they'll trust us and learn the content and maybe understand that it would be okay not to know everything. And that comes from the trust when you're building a relationship. So we do have to give some time to get to know each other and for kids to realize that teachers are real people. You will see them in the grocery store. They do eat. And And once that happens and they get to see that real teacher in the real world, then sometimes the kids are okay with potentially making a mistake because I know her and she's going to help me be successful. So relationships first. And that's a big part of the trust. I trusted that my mother knew what she needed to do to help me be successful. And that's step one. You have to trust that you have a healthy relationship with the students.
So that being said, what hope do you have for this generation that we're instructing now?
I would want this generation of students that are getting ready to graduate to be able to use their resources, because our world is very resourceful. Use their resources, but then to also trust themselves and people in their field that we have their best interests at heart. Not everybody's against them. Sometimes you feel that way, but we do have teachers and counselors and just peers who have the best interests at heart for people to be successful. And I'd want our students to be able to know that they can reach for the star. It might not happen the first time. If you fall down, get up, dust yourself off, keep moving forward. You will be successful if you believe it and you want it and you work hard.
Okay, so the final question is about legacy. So, what advice would you give to young educators and future leaders, and what mistakes should they avoid?
Future leaders, try to have the mindset that you can't change everything the very first year. You can assess and take a look and see what's broken. And if it's not broken, leave it alone. If it's broken, target it and get some assistance from your right and left hand to make some wise decisions. All the decisions aren't necessarily the principal's decision. It's a team collaboration. And so you should hear folks' voices to make sure you make an informed decision. Yeah, that's my legacy. I'd love for people to trust in each other and be happy at what they're doing on a daily basis. That's important. And to use their resources and their friends so that they can be what they'd like to be and not settle for something less.
That's powerful. That's powerful.
So we've come to the part of our show where we want to check the pulse of our community. So we want to just give a call out to the community to, give them a positive action that they can take forth this week, something that they can do. And so we want to give you the opportunity to, challenge them, challenge the community.
I challenge our educational community to truly believe that every child can be successful and not waver when things are rough and tough or when the work is rigorous, but then to believe that kids can rise to the occasion. And I challenge all of our educational community in that way today.
So family, that's your challenge this week. Take that action, live it out, then share it with us. We want to hear your comments. We want to, send us an email. And so we're going to be putting our email address up on where you can contact us, our Facebook, social media, all of that's going to be put up on the screen so you can contact us. But we want to know your stories. We want to hear your stories, and what positive actions are going to do. Just imagine if we all take positive actions. We all can talk positive. But if we begin to, they said action speaks louder than words. That's what I was taught growing up. So any final message for our students, parents, or educators that you would like to share?
I love the idea of being positive every day, waking up to be positive. That's important.
Well, thank you so much, Dr. Faye Caminita, our first guest, and Louisiana State Principal of the Year. You have a few months left in your reign. Anything in particular that you have left on the agenda for?
Yes, we are. We're going to have a group of 25 principals visit Ponchatoula High School in March, and they will be taking a look at Ponchatoula High School and working with us in the leadership team to refine some skills and work on leadership. So I'm looking forward to that.
Hey, that sounds like fun. Thank you for joining us, and thank you for joining us on our show. We are excited that we are taking the pulse of our community. We're going to be infusing positive actions, uplifting lives, and sparking excellence every day. Thank you, and have a wonderful day. This is Pulse.